All right. Our second question is about discrete trial training. Okay, it's also known as discrete trial teaching and discrete trial instruction. All right, so they want to really know, like, well, why is the name discrete trial training? Like, what goes into this name, and so what are the educational principles behind it and the characteristics behind DTT? Now, if they go back into some of our archives of the some of the streams that we've done, what they'll find is there's actually a whole lesson completely devoted to discrete trial training. Now, to summarize a little bit of what DTT is learning distilled down into its most basic form. So there's something in the environment that tells us if we perform a certain action, we're going to get reinforced for that action. So when we take a look at DTT is taking all of those segments that we talked about. Oh, the environmental cue that tells us how to respond, the response that we're expected to have, and then the reinforcement that we get for having that response. So if I hold up a water bottle here and I say, what is it? Okay. That's the instruction, right? That's the cue that tells us, like, oh, if I answer this correctly, I'm going to be reinforced for it. So if the child says water bottle, then reinforcement is provided to the child. Now, in some forms of discrete trial training, some people like to use extinction as the primary method of providing feedback when the child does something wrong. And I have to say, I hate that method. So when the child gets something right, when we ask them to do something, they perform that response and they do it correctly, we provide reinforcement for them. When the child does something wrong, then we give them what we call an informational no. And it just sounds like this, no. So the no is not supposed to be mean. It's not supposed to be harsh. It is only informational, and it's to help the child be very, very clear you did this response incorrectly. So this is what it looks like when we do it. What is it? The child says dog. No. This is what it looks like in extinction. What is it? The child says dog. All right. So the idea with extinction is that it doesn't get any reinforcement. And as a byproduct of not getting reinforced over the long term, the child will stop engaging in the wrong behavior. The reason I don't like that method is because it might take a long time for somebody to realize that they were doing something wrong when they get zero feedback on it. All right, so now that's what a discrete trial looks like. There's an instruction, there's a response by the child, and then there's feedback on that response. That feedback for us is reinforcement when they're doing something right, and the informational no when they do it wrong. Now, discrete in discrete trial training means separate and distinct. So when you're teaching a child, one discrete trial is instruction, response, feedback. And that is one complete unit of teaching. And that is the most basic unit of learning because it's about, oh, what instructions are given to you, what you have to produce as far as your response, and then the feedback that's given to you to support that response. All right, so kind of a dry lesson there, but it's fun for me. I enjoy the nuances of talking about what makes a discrete trial a discrete trial.